morning, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the in Perspective show, the Friday edition. Uh, I think that we're having some trouble, some some audio trouble, and maybe some video trouble as well. And now all of a sudden, I'm having some vocal trouble. So I'm not sure what is going on this morning. Everything seems to be going out of whack for a bit. But we'll get through this here. I'm just trying to. Oh, I left the watch before. Today is Friday. The last time I checked the temperature up here, it was 72 degrees, I think it was when I checked the last time. 71 degrees, it says now. Mm, um, in Guyana, I'm not sure. There's lots of things are happening in Guyana. Uh, the omens are numerous, probably telling the tale of a troubled Guyana. I want to say give a big shout out to my friend there in the sunny parts of the USA, Nichelle British. Good morning and happy belated birthday. I know I should have reached out to you and given you a nice little shout out, but uh, that's to tell how busy I am and how pressed I am as well by circumstances. But nevertheless, happy belated birthday to you. Um, to all the birthday celebrants this week and today, happy belated birthday to you. We have some troubling situations unfolding in Guyana. By the way, just before I get into my interview proper, which is going to be concise and compact because we need to expedite as much as fast as possible. Um, did you guys observe on when was it? Day before yesterday, I think, when the U.S. president and the Russian president had the summit. Uh, did you observe that when the Russian president arrived at the summit location, he had an initial, what was it, a handshake or a fist bump or elbow bump or something with the Swedish, oh sorry, the Swiss president, and that went well. But then he sought another handshake, and the gentleman just walked away. He pushed his hand over twice, so the gentleman just walked away and left him. And I was like, "Oh, whoa!" I mean, the president might have been saying, "Yo, you're not the boss here. I'm in charge. You're not gonna come and demand my hands here. You know what I mean? You could do it when I'm ready." That was really interesting, very interesting. Speaks says a lot of how much power a head of state is when you visit his or her country. Um, that being, today our guest is the honorable member of parliament, Mr. Jermaine Figueira of Linden, or of Region 10, I should say. He's the MP representing the constituents of Region 10. And he just, in our backstage chat, uh, gave me some information that was kind of shocking. So I'm gonna welcome him, Mr. Figueroa. Welcome to the show, second time around. I know that all is not well. First of all, please accept my and the members of this unit that presents the show our condolences on the loss of your regional vice chairman. And this is a very bad time to lose one of your regional personnel. You've got the flood situation up there in Region 10, throughout Region 10. Well, in Region 10 in some sectors, and now you have another situation to deal with. Just to ensure that we are tuned in and we are cued into what's going on. Give us an update, if you will, on the flood situation, including the news that you just got, the very bad news that you just got, and the situation you're monitoring right now.
Well, first of all, Mr. Burke, thanks for the invitation to the program. Especially good morning to you and your listeners, the viewership on this program. We have a bad situation in Region 10. I think the world needs to pay a little more attention to what's going on in Guyana as a whole. But Region 10 has been the worst affected area with
Mm.
regards to the flooding. I mean, one would have believed in almost 3 weeks of this flooding, the water would have receded in Kokwani. But as of yesterday, Info 10 was up there and they took the footage. It's not going anywhere. Coupled with that, we have another outbreak of flooding of an exponential degree in another part of region, and right in close proximity to Linden, East Montgomery Mines, where we have several communities there, Komaka, um, Elizabeth, Mariah, and three friends. They are under a lot of water now because early in the morning there was a breakaway of the tailing end pond of the bauxite company. Their supposed conservancy there where they store their water broke away into the community, and it's estimated that that conservancy had over 500 million liters of water, and that is gushing all through the community of East Montgomery mines. So a lot of the residents' homes are affected. Their way of life has been affected, and that water is very muddy. You can understand being the tail end of the bauxite overboard and being washed all across different communities that I mentioned there in Tree Ferns mines. So the residents are immediately in need of relief, and they have in request for drinking water as I speak. So myself and the regional chairman and several councillors are going to be going up there to have a first-hand assessment of the situation and try to bring some relief to those residents, immediate relief to the residents. But definitely, this need governmental intervention to remedy the situation because it is bad. It is bad. We have a lot of videos, we have a lot of pictures. It is severely
Yeah,
bad.
I'm so sorry. And Region 10 being hit again. This is extremely sad. I envisage now that apart from dealing with the flooding, there's need for rebuilding of that revetment area, or that enclosure, that dam that would have kept the water in check. So it's a lot of work to be done, and the longer that exercise takes to get going, it's the more devastating it's going to be, because I guess that in apart from the water that is stored there, if there's not an immediate intervention, or an immediate effort to intervene in that situation, then more water will be going into the area, and the more water that goes in, the more water will come out. So that area is under serious in some serious trouble.
Most definitely. And at the last meeting, we did make representation for the residents of London and government to give serious consideration to help helping the residents who are affected by flooding beyond the distribution of cleaning agents, beyond the distribution of food hampers. Giving residents 1 2 week supply of food hampers is not sufficient because these people would have lost everything. And we would have asked the prime minister who is responsible for this task force that's what set up to deal with flooding, and more so making the request for over $10 billion to bring some relief if he is going to be given serious consideration to providing the residents who have been badly affected, whose houses are underwater, who would have lost all of their electrical appliances, the number of farmers who would have lost all of their crops, all of their livestock. If government is going to give financial aid, financial grant for these persons to rebuild, and quite frankly, he said no, that's not their immediate focus right now. They're focusing on providing food hampers, cleaning agents, and shelters for those residents. I mean, those residents aren't going to be stationed in the shelters forever. So one would think that the fact that you come in to the National Assembly for billions of dollars, even though the budget passed several months ago, for more money, at least you would have thought about the idea of one identifying a location, which we in Region 10 have already done. We set up our own task force We have identified a more suitable location for the relocation of the residents of Kokwani to higher ground. It just need governmental support in clearing the area and giving those residents assistance to rebuild, those farmers assistance to get back their crops and their livestock. But this is not the focus of the government right now. And it's very much concerning for us. These people are in a dire need of real help beyond cleaning agents and food stuff. But coupled with that, Mr. Burke, the watering isn't going anywhere. And the reality is that most of the residents in Kokwani, for example, as well as Rockstone too, a lot of those houses use pit toilets, latrine toilets, as we call it in Guyana.
Mhm.
And all of those are covered with water. The tombs are also covered with water. So what you find is that there's a potential risk of Zika infestation. There's a potential risk of cholera. There's a potential
Mm.
risk of leptospirosis. So dengue fever has been reported to have been on the increase in the region because of the infestation of mosquitoes. They're not going on stagnated water, is the nesting ground for mosquitoes. So there's need to go into the community and do mass fogging out of the area, provide the residents with treated nets so that they could be protected from what these mosquitoes may bring. So it is beyond the distribution of cleaning agents and beyond the distribution of hampers. You are housing the residents in a school. Then we have to take into consideration the COVID reality that we're facing when we're asking persons to practice social distancing. So the reality is dire. It is sad, and what we have also discovered too, Rickford, Mr. Borg, is that they have been given residents hampers, food hampers, who can't even cook the food. So
Well,
yes, they are in
Daniel.
receipt of these. Yes, they are in receipt of these cleaning agents, but what are they going to do with it? So we in the region with our task force we set up. We have proposed to set up a community kitchen, a big
Mm.
community kitchen to provide 3 meals to the residents of Kokwani, where they're going to have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and in intervals some snacks. Are you hearing me?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
I'm hearing you.
So
I'm
so
following you.
that is our focus to provide those residents with those assistance that they need. The access road to Kokwani is in a deplorable state. I mean, no, this no exaggeration. We have some items that we want to take into Kokwani donations that we would have received from an NGO, the Care for Others organization, and it is a challenge for us to get a truck to go in. Some county trucks say point blank they're not going to Kokwani, and those who are willing are charging over $100,000 to take in the stuff. So you could understand the increase in food stuff for the residents who are not as affected by the flooding, who are on higher ground. To buy food too, they are affected too because the prices have skyrocketed because food going into the community is a challenge. So all of these different factors is making the situation even more dire for the residents who are already affected. I'm happy that you give condolences and respect to our vice chairman. That was his remit, that was his domain of responsibility, sub-region 2. And he was very active in the sub-region 2 community. The people are missing him right now because he was a man on the ground helping and serving the people of that community. So that is indeed a significant blow, a significant loss to the residents of Region 10 of Linden with the passing of Mr. Douglas Gittins.
Yeah, this is I'm lost for words right now. So faced with all of these circumstances, has there been any thought of requesting the assistance of the Guyana Defense Force to get foodstuff into the Kokwani area? Because if the trucks are going, I mean, like, how long are you going to be able to, raise the funds and finance those trucks going in there. We know the the chopper is used to go all over the place. Is there any thought of using or requesting the Army's help to get to chopper stuff into Kokwani, probably once per week, make you care a whole lot?
Well, the CDC, the Army, being a part of the Civil Defense unit, they have been making some trips to Kokwani with by whatever means, but they have been inside there, and they were able to do the distribution of some food hampers and cleaning agents. They have been in there, but I'm talking about other persons in the community who are able to galvanize resources and were willing to go into the Kokwani. The church, for example, the churches
Hmm.
have been playing a pivotal role. Pastor Selwyn Sills, he has been playing a magnificent role in getting food hampers to different parts of the region that has been affected to help with the work of the committee, the regional task force that we set up. So kudos to the churches, to the NGOs. So I'm saying those organizations that want to go in and they would have gotten the stuff to take to the residents who have been affected. The fact that the road in itself, the access road, is in a very deplorable state, it compounds the challenge of getting this much needed resources to the residents of Kokwani. So the CDC has been in there, but I'm talking about other help that the regional task force, the regional committee that was set up by us, and the other NGOs and churches and so forth who are also in a position to render aid and assistance. They are faced with this unfortunate reality of the bad access road to the community.
I recall I had an interview with Mr. Cameron Ramtatan. I think it was on Monday, or Wednesday, and he did indicate to me that the government was not in any way, shape, or form including the opposition in this whole exercise. And he was wondering if they're going to do as usual, wait until the last minute to do all of that. I have not heard the government. Maybe I missed something, but I have not. This is a disaster of tremendous magnitude. But I have not heard the government ask for international assistance in dealing with this situation as yet, because I'm not sure that they have the capacity to deal with it. Have I missed anything there?
No, you haven't. You see, the government is making this issue, in my view, a political issue. The fact that the minister, and it was alleged, and some of the residents of Kokwani brought this to our attention, that the minister was in there sharing out food hampers in Kokwani. And before he shared the hampers, he was asking residents who they voted for. So you're
Hmm.
politicizing a natural disaster that has ravaged the lives of many thousands of people across this country. You're politicizing this issue, a humanitarian issue, to concern yourself with who people voted for. People are least concerned right now with party. People want help. And
Hmm.
this shouldn't be about red or green. This should be about humanity. And it is taxpayers' monies that are being spent. Taxpayers' money is not PPP supporters' money. Taxpayers' money is Guyanese money. And a lot of Guyanese are affected by this natural disaster, this flooding that
Hmm.
has ravaged many households, many farmers. And you want to politicize this humanitarian issue for what? Cheap political points, feeding off the hardship and the sadness that people are experiencing. It's unfortunate, but we are saying the opposition has always been willing and prepared to help. And that is why we in this region, the regional chairman would have written asking the government to set up the regional task force. They did not. But we cannot wait on the government to ready themselves. So we have decided to formulate our own task force, inviting several different agencies to be a part of it: the police, the GWI, the Mayan Town Council, the Linden Chambers of Commerce, the religious community, a whole broad cross section of representatives we've put together this task force with, because we believe it's important that we make the necessary representation for our people, irrespective if the government don't want to help us. The opposition has the expertise, the opposition has the know-how to bring a national response to this situation. And we need to put aside the politics. Let us be mature Guyanese, sit around the table and come up with the ideas that will bring the much needed help to all our people who have been affected. The opposition represents um, probably 50% of the population or even more.
Yeah.
So you cannot marginalize this large section of the populace and don't want to have them seated at the table to bring the necessary ideas that can help our Guyanese brothers and sisters that have been affected by this natural disaster. So the government has to be mature. It has to be Guyanese oriented and understand that this is a crisis situation. You have labeled it a natural disaster, level two, matter of fact.
Hmm.
You want outsiders to help, and you have 49 to 50% of the population who is willing to come and sit with you to say, listen, this is what we are willing to offer. This is what we believe that will be best to address the situation. And you're ignoring that when your people are being affected because you want to play politics with the lives of people in this dire situation. It's most unfortunate, Mr. Borg. Most unfortunate.
I can imagine how frustrating it is for you and your colleagues and even the residents of Linden. But you just alluded to the fact that you would have thought that 3 weeks in the water would have started to abate, but it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. Um, has there been any declaration on the part of the government as regards to what exactly gave rise to this national flooding situation? And is there any indication from, for example, the Met Office as to when this thing might come to an end?
Well, they it is interesting that you ask such a question because some of the thoughts the government is saying is that the exponential rainfall during the May June season. But I mean, we have never had this type of reality in Guyana with regards to flooding. And I can say to you here in the region, we have not seen that level of consistent rainfall that you could use as a means to say that this is the cause of this magnitude of flooding. We're not having that type of rainfall. So it is unexplainable. I cannot proffer a reason why we are seeing such um, this situation with the flood, except to say it's as a result of climate change. That's the only most reasonable position I can put. Climate change has affected our water network coming all the way from the Amazon. So I mean that's my layman's view with regards to proffering a reason why we are seeing this rise in tides of the rivers and even this the sea levels. So the government has to take all of that into consideration and implement the infrastructural works that are needed to protect Guyana, to protect those communities that are close to the river, close to the seashores, to ensure that our residents, our citizens are safe. Climate change is real, it is no joke, and the government needs to take that into serious consideration, especially when they are spending taxpayers' money to do infrastructural works.
All right. I want to move to closer home to you now. I mean, this is a terrible disaster. I saw Andrew playing some videos a moment ago, which I assume may have come out of the Linden area, showing the water inundating the community there. If it is Linden, then I am seeing that some lower levels in houses already maybe like halfway up in water. I'm not sure if that is the area, but of course you have not gone on the ground as yet, and therefore the team, as I understand, is still assessing. So there's no direct knowledge as to what is happening. But from the preliminary reports you would have received, is there any indication that there might be foul play, or is it the soil being inundated and just going loose that would have contributed to the breaking of this tailing ponds retaining dam?
Those videos that you would have seen are from the community that is in East Montgomery, Comaco Tree Friends area there, where the tail end pond for the bauxite company would have um,
Wow.
broken, the broken and let loose into the community. When I say we're not on the ground, I mean me being physically on the ground. Those images, those footage that you would have seen is our comrades who live in the community who send those footage to us. So we are
Mm.
very much au fait with the reality that is happening on the ground presently, even though we're not physically present. We have a wide network of party comrades all across this region, so anything that happens, we get those information immediately. So we have a presence even though we're not physically there. So the information that comes to us are accurate because it's coming directly from our operatives in and around the community of Linden and more so Region 10. So with regards to the question of foul play, I don't want to say that was the occurrence of this situation. I don't want to believe that the residents of themselves would want to put themselves in danger. I believe it probably was an accident, but I don't know. So I don't want to put a, a perspective on that. But what I want to say is that it has occurred and need help is much needed for the residents of that community, of those communities. So we're hopeful that an immediate and swift with response would be forthcoming, and more so the immediate need of the residents is the request for fresh drinking water. So we are going to be approaching Banks DIH. Banks would have been on board with us, and they would have helped us. And we are going to be seeking out some assistance as well from the other businesses within the community to help as a first response to provide much needed drinking water to the residents. But that is just the initial help we're going to try to galvanize. But there's need for the regional resources, the government's resources to bring that much needed help that could really sustain the residents for some time while we address this situation. Both sides has to play a pivotal role in helping to build back the defense of that conservancy that was broken, coupled with the government assistance.
All right, but I know the government would have already known about the situation because the REO is their representative. So definitely, there's no excuse for them to delay. They can't say that they don't know, they didn't know, because if your residents know, then the REO knows, and once the REO knows, the government knows. That's as clear as crystal. So we're going to be monitoring the situation there to stay on top of what's going on, to see what the government will do and how fast they will do. But I spoke with the regional chairman a few weeks ago. I did speak with one of the luminaries, one of the bright men, the bright brains from Linden, who served. I think he was the person who was heading the EPA for a while. I mean, yeah, and they have indicated that the folk in the diaspora are willing to help in any way, shape, or form. Has there been any consolidated, any concerted effort to make contact with the Londoners in the diaspora? And is there any movement to galvanize the resources here in the diaspora so that they can throw it back into Ghana and help to alleviate the suffering of the people in Region 10 and in particular Linden?
Well, that view was expressed, and that is why that was part of the impetus to us setting up the regional task force. because we wanted to have a centralized line of communication. We don't want the people in the diaspora having seen the gravity of this flood that is affecting many of the residents and even some of the communities where they would have been before they migrated to go all about the place. We want it to be in a centralized location. We want it to be manned by a committee that will ensure that when whatever assistance comes, it will definitely go directly to the people. Because you would know, Mr. Borg, that some persons capitalize on tragedy like this and
Yes.
disasters like this for their own benefit. And we,
Hmm.
we believe it was prudent on our part to set up a regional task force headed by the regional chairman. That and the numbers were also provided his office itself were numbers of persons locally and in and abroad to um, be made known that this regional task force was set up. It was highly publicized in the media, so persons are aware that they can make contact. And it's as a result of that, one of the organization, the Care and Fathers organization, which I'm the representative here in Guyana, it is headed by a Guyanese, Miss
Hmm.
Richmond Shockley, who would have seen the gravity of what is going on and would have made some contribution. That is a contribution I'm prepared to take to Kokwani. But the challenge we have is the access to Kokwani. And now we have this situation here in the mine. So I'm toying with the idea, Mr. Burke, of probably redirecting that resources to the residents of the Komaka mines area. So that decision hasn't been finalized, but it's because of things of that nature. Persons home and abroad are helping, are giving, and we're very much thankful for the assistance. I mean, anything that can help, it doesn't matter how small it is, can make a difference. Because when you add up every bottle of oil one household, one person may bring, you end up getting a case, so to speak. So we don't
Hmm.
want persons to be discouraged if they're not in a position to give a large quantity. Give a little, it makes a difference. So we're saying be encouraged to give, no matter how small it is. We have a regional task force that is set up. Your contributions will be most welcome, and be rest assured that it will be accounted for. That it is a transparent situation that we would have set up there, because we don't want to um, put, be put in a place where persons would have honestly given their resources or their kind, and it is misrepresented. So that's why we went into that direction of having the regional chairman head this committee, so that persons can be rest assured that whatever it is that they give, it will go to the people who are most in need and affected.
All right, before we end the show, I'm going to just ask you to give us again. I know the regional chairman did give us, I think, two or three numbers. We're just going to ask that you give us aloud on the program, so that those persons who are following can take a note of the numbers that they can reach out to. I observed too that I think it was the government of Trinidad and Tobago had indicated that they're going to send some form of assistance to Guyana for the flood relief. But my trouble, having seen that, was determining if, since the government has not included the opposition, the parliamentary opposition, in this whole exercise, if the opposition is even given the privilege of monitoring whatever assistance comes in from overseas officially, like from government to government, so that you ensure fair distribution to the people.
But that's a very good question. The reality is, Mr. Burke, is that the government has not been, um, what I can say, very democratic, so to speak. They have not been as transparent as one would hope, being responsible for government, for taxpayers' money. I mean, we would have asked so many questions in the parliament. Up to now, we cannot have reasonable and satisfactory responses. You came to the parliament 2 days ago to ask a supplemental budget for over $21 billion and over 10 more than 10 billion to this flood relief. And when questions are being posed, you are circumlocuting and making political speeches rather than providing the nation with the answers to the questions that the nation needs answers to. And then when you're trying to press for those responses, the speaker is basically shutting you down. So we in a dire situation, but we are pursuing to make the necessary representation that is needed, that is required. And it is like this, programs like this provide us with an additional platform for us to inform the persons, the residents, for us to add additional pressure to the government to provide the population with the answers to the questions that we would have posed. We have close to 500 questions to be answered in the National Assembly. The government essentially prorogued the parliament for over 98 days. You don't keep parliament in 98 days, you would have essentially prorogued the parliament. And
Hmm.
when you come back, you don't want to answer questions. So this situation is undemocratic. We are on the verge of a dictatorial regime, but we have to fight. You have to remain resolute as an opposition, as residents and citizens of this country. The diaspora has a pivotal role to play. This is your country. It doesn't matter if you are abroad. You are a major contributor to this country, and your views and your level of representation is also needed to help us achieve the Guyana that all of us can be most proud of. So we don't want to continually have an exodus of Guyanese to other parts of the world, because if they do that, we'll see a consistency in brain drain. We have
Yep.
already had in Region 10, for example, an exodus of over 50 nurses, 50 trained nurses to the UK. And the government is saying that there's a shortage, there's overstaffing of nurses in Region 10, when there's an exodus of our best trained and experienced nurses to the UK. And then you shut down the nursing school. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous and absurd that you would shut down a nursing school when the world, Mr. Bork, is asking for nurses. The world. Why you think the nurses are leaving Guyana? Because there's need for nurses around the world. And the
Yep.
government has decided to shut down the nursing school. And your ridiculous reasons because it has more concentration of Londoners attending. If it is based in Linden, obviously you would have a greater concentration of nurses from Linden. Listen, Mr. Borg, a lot of Londoners cannot afford to attend the University of Ghana. The transportation cost in itself is exponential, traveling every single day to go to Georgetown. So the option for Londoners and residents of Region 10 to have tertiary education is to attend the Cyril Potter College of Education based here in Linden, and to attend the Child Roses School of Nursing based here in Linden. So the fact that persons want to elevate themselves academically and they cannot afford to sojourn to Georgetown, to Turkine, to go to the university, the next best option is Cyril Potter College of Education or the Charles Roses School of Nursing. And
Yeah.
you have taken away an opportunity for persons to elevate themselves, to have higher education, and more so, persons who are desirous of making a meaningful contribution in the healthcare sector. A lot of young people who would have waited over 3 years to attend that school, and then you just shut it down. We have young women who left their jobs to attend that nursing school, and you would have shattered their hopes, shattered their aspirations of
Hmm.
becoming healthcare providers so that they could serve not Region 10, not Linden, but to serve Guyana.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what
Hmm.
you're doing to our young people, the future of this country, denying them of an opportunity to give back to their community, which is most unfortunate, I must say.
One of the things that I was kind of disappointed with is the fact that I could be wrong.
I'm not
But
hearing you. I'm not hearing you, Mr. Burke. Sorry about that. I don't know what is the problem there, but
Miss,
I'm not hearing you.
are we good to go, Mr. Weeks? I'm not sure what's happening with the microphone. Can you? Do I have you back?
I'm not hearing. I'm not hearing. I'm sorry. I'm not hearing you.
Mr. Weeks, what's are we having a microphone problem?
Let me try this headphones.
I don't know if Andrew is monitoring because he's not responding either.
Yes. I'm hearing you now.
Yes, I
Okay.
am, but I'm not here. It's not my fault.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
hearing
okay.
you.
Oh,
I'm hearing you.
all right. So I was I was suggesting that the the government. I think I missed the point I was going to ask, but nevertheless, let's segue a little to your constitutional or your constituency's responsibility, or your responsibility to your constituents, and that is your work in parliament. Because I wanna definitely wrap up on time so that you can get to run away and take care of the people's business there in Linden. Um, what is the current response of the opposition to what the I had a discussion with Mr. Ramjitan, like I said, on Wednesday, and he gave us a little synopsis of what took place with Mr. Patterson's situation. What is the current status of that? And then what is your take on the situation with Miss Miller, particularly because she's from Linden, and her state of health and what is going on with her and the situation with these bogus charges that were brought against her.
Oh, Miss Myers, you're talking about?
Yeah, Miss Myers, not Miller. Sorry, Miss Myers.
Oh, well, the situation with Mr. Patterson, Mr. Work, is most unfortunate, and it speaks to a tendency of the opposition, of the government, to venture into a very dictatorial approach to governance. It is no secret. I mean, the PPP has made history with that passing of that obnoxious motion. I mean, history in CARICOM, history in the Commonwealth, where they essentially trying to police themselves by trying to give dictates to the opposition, who chairs this very important committee, which is the Public Accounts Committee that gives oversight of government spending. So you basically come with a motion, no justification in the motion, and you basically come on the premise that you have the majority, so you could do what you want. The speaker was made famous in the parliament for using the words, "You can have your say, but we will have our way." And
Oh,
that is what the speaker would have said when he was a member of parliament, and this has epitomized the posture of the present administration. The opposition can have its say, but essentially they're saying they will have their way. So their plan essentially is to police themselves, and we see this motion as very distasteful. It sets a very bad precedent on the architecture of parliament and the National Assembly going forward, because parliament is governed by procedures and parliament is governed by precedents that you set, and you
hmm.
have set a very despicable um, precedent in the National Assembly. So you have basically laid a platform out, Mr. Boer, that if you are not in favor of any chairman of any committee that the opposition chairs, you can come with a bogus reason, as you did in this motion, give no justification whatsoever, knowing fully well that not only that you have the majority, but that such a motion would be facilitated by the Speaker of the National Assembly. So you could actually create a position for inside trading in the National Assembly,
Yeah.
so that you can have your way. And we are totally against that. We remain resolute that it is the main opposition that must make the definitive position on who they repose confidence in to be the chairman of that committee. And we are very much disappointed in what transpired there. I mean, we were there since 2 and we left Minister 6 the morning. It was intentional of the government to have this debate wee hours in the mornings, knowing that a lot of Guyanese would not have been awake. They had probably like 105 persons viewing the parliament. So you have a population close to over 700,000, and only 100 Guyanese were viewing the parliament on a motion that
Hmm.
sets a dark cloud on the history of Guyana with the precedent that this motion would have set out to accomplish. And unfortunately it did. But we have to remain resolute. We need the voices in the diaspora to speak out against these atrocities that is happening to your country. Not only the opposition must speak, you must speak too, because you have a voice, you have a loud voice, you contribute to the development of this community, this country, not only with the proceeds of remittances that you send, but you shape policies with your commentary, with your views. So we're saying to you to also speak out against this atrocity, because it is bad for Ghana. It doesn't augur well for the future of Ghana when you are basically be placed in a handicapped position with respect to scrutinizing government spending. You can't put cat to watch milk, basically. And this maneuver, essentially, we believe, was to get their mannequin deputy um, speaker to replace Patterson on the PAC. This man is set to be an opposition, but he's employed by the government. He's getting hundreds of thousands of dollars of taxpayers' money paid to him by the government. He's living in a government quarters. He has never, since Parliament started, supported any position that is in opposition to the government. So
Hmm.
we see him as a bogus opposition member sitting in the National Assembly. He is a camouflage opposition. He represents the views and the interests of the PPP, his paymasters. And that is what essentially this motion was being geared towards, creating a situation where they can have one of their own members posing as an opposition to chair the Public Accounts Committee, so they would have no scrutiny of taxpayers' spending. And that is most unfortunate.
Yeah, that's I mean, it's indeed most unfortunate. Final question, and then I'll definitely have to let you go. What's the status? I mean, you alluded to it earlier too. The fact that you have all those people in the flooded areas bunched together in shelters, has the COVID-19 impacted those shelters in any way that is jumping out at us? Do we have any reason to be overly concerned about what's going on there, or is there some measure of control over the situation in that regard?
Well, it's difficult to have a true assessment of the real realities of the amount of infected persons in the region, not just in the flooded in those shelters, but the entire region in itself. We have seen, despite us having some doubts with respect to the real numbers, we have seen a significant spike in persons in the region being infected with COVID-19. Region 10 was the least. Now we're the third in the entire country with respect to the astronomical increase in COVID cases in the region. And our appeal to residents primarily is to observe all of the protocols. We have to take a more stern approach. I mean, persons are saying, imagine the government who implemented these COVID measures are the ones who are breaking it. I mean, you saw the president and the vice president fishing after the COVID hours that they implemented. So we are saying, and the committee, the regional task force committee that we set up, will be meeting very soon, because we believe we have to take the bull by the horn We have to pick up the cudgel and lead. And we will do that to ensure that all of these enforcement measures are strictly adhered to. Because I know it's going to be difficult. It will be difficult, particularly in Linden, because we have an unemployment situation that is beyond 60% of the population. So we
Oh,
understand people going out and trying to hustle because they have to provide meals and food for the families, and the fact that a lot of them have been discriminated with regards to the distribution of hampers. So we understand that they have to hustle, but we are going to ensure that we take every measure as possible to protect our residents, even if we have to do a mass um, distribution of a campaign for providing face masks to persons, hand sanitizers, because the reality is we live in a situation where a lot of the residents don't are not in the on the formal establishment, so they definitely have to go and hustle to provide for
mm,
the families. But in doing so, we believe we could still help to protect them and the entire community by ensuring that every resident, whenever they go on the road, they wear their mask. Whenever they transact some form of transaction, they ensure that they sanitize and try as much as possible. I know that's this particular measure is going to be extremely difficult, social distancing, because we live in a situation where people make money when people are in a large congregation. That is our reality in Linden. People
hmm,
make money when people are in crowds,
right.
because that's unfortunately our reality. So in that respect, we have to ensure that everyone wear their mask, everyone sanitize, everyone try as much as possible to um, eat nutritious meals, exercise as often as possible, and do whatever it is that you have to do to ensure that the community remains safe. And I know there's a lot of areas in the community that has um, vaccines available. Persons can go and get their vaccines. So that is a campaign we will be rolling out in the very near future, because we have to protect our residents, we have to protect our citizens, and we will do whatever it is that we can with the limited resources that we can to protect our residents, because the COVID hospital in London, unfortunately, Mr. Work has two beds with respirators for an entire region with almost 60,000 people. So you could imagine the reality of if this COVID situation rise beyond our capacity to provide the much needed help and assistance. We need more oxygen cans. The persons in the diaspora who are listening, you can provide us, send in some oxygen cans if you can. This is something that will definitely be of tremendous help and assistance. I mean, some persons are in home isolation and they need oxygen, but they can't
Mm,
go to the hospital because none is available. Because if you have
no.
two beds with set up for oxygen, then how can you provide those who are in home isolation and need oxygen? So these are some of the predicament that we are being faced with, and we definitely need the help of our residents who are domiciled in the US, in other parts of the world, in the diaspora, to understand the gravity of the situation. And it's astronomical, to say the least, that a lot of our people who live overseas, who may not have the time to tune in, knows what is going on with
Mm,
regards to this flooding. And it's just programs like this is bringing this to their attention. So we want to thank you and all of the commentators with programs like this for the work that you do in helping us carry the message and helping us with garnering the resources that we need to help combat this sad situation that our people is facing, not only with COVID-19, but with the flooding situation that has ravaged many lives and disrupted many households here in the region and around Guyana.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Jermaine Figueira. There's one other thing that I'd like to suggest. If there are any, well, I know there are lots of Lindeners on the show right now. I don't know if there's any influential Lindener who has the kind of contact that is necessary with the Northwell Health Institution in New York City. I know there's a team from Northwell Health that is currently in South America. I think they're in either Colombia or Ecuador currently, assisting with the vaccination drive. If we can have those folks, they do plan to go to Guyana within the next 3 weeks. They said if we can have them make contact with the Northwell Health administrators and have them commit to zeroing in specifically in the Linden area and the Region 10 area more particularly. I'm not sure if they're going to be working through the government or through NGOs or through a church or what, but I'm encouraging those persons from Linden who are on the show to use your connections and find out what's going on, how they who had invited them to Guyana, and if they can go to these areas. Linden in particular now, because with that second disaster there with the rupturing of the Tailin Ponds Dam, that's that's even worse. And that's not a village, that's a town, and the dynamics in a town are totally different to the dynamics in
Yes.
a village. So definitely, if they can zero in there, it would help. I will try to see whatever I can do to make whatever connections I can to find out who's sponsoring, who's doing what, and see if we can get that kind of thing going. But then the persons from Linden who are in the health sector too, here in the diaspora, whether Canada, USA, England, or wherever, it might be a good thing for them to connect with each other and work out the best way to put together a medical team to visit your local and help, because this is a critical thing. We know that the government made Guyanese guinea pigs basically by giving them the Russian vaccine without having the WHO approve it and all of that. So, but that is water under the bridge now. We need the Londoners and Guyanese generally fully vaccinated so that we can get this thing over and get out of this situation. Any parting comments, Mr. Figueroa?
Well, like I said, I want to thank you for what you're doing. I'm happy that it provides our brothers and sisters who live abroad to have an understanding of the reality that is on the ground being faced by a lot of our citizenry in and around the country. And I mean, we need help here in Region 10. I trust that this interview would have provided them with an imagery of what is the reality here on the ground, and they would be um, in a position to render some form of assistance to their fellow countrymen and women right here in the region and other parts of Ghana that have been affected, because I know a lot of your viewership is not only from Region 10, but that it represents a microcosm of the entire Guyana. So
Mhm.
there are other parts of Ghana that is also affected and feel the need to give, because the government isn't doing as much as they should, and the residents, the citizenry shouldn't be the victim of this lackluster nature of a response by this administration to help people who are in need. So we call on you to help your brothers, to help your sisters who are in dire need of help and assistance. We are coupled with this natural disaster that has affected over 9 of our 10 administration, and more so it has been compounded with the realities of COVID-19 virus that is exponentially rising here in Guyana. So there's need for our brothers and sisters abroad to definitely play a more integral role in lending your voices and giving some of your resources to help those who are in need. For those who are desirous of helping the residents who are affected here in the region, the chairman of the regional task force is the regional chairman, Mr. Darren Adams. His number is 680-0022, 680-0022. That is direct cell phone number. if you feel the need that you want to make a contribution, you want to lend some advice. Listen, you don't always have to give resources. Your intellect is also a resource that we welcome. You live and you would have experienced different things overseas that could be of some help and assistance to us right here in helping to make this task force a little more effective. You could also give your advice, give some solutions so that we could be better, uh, be more effective as leaders to serve our people right here in the community. Your guidance is definitely welcome and needed as well. So once again, thanks for having us. I've been getting some texts from the chairman. He's prepared to go to Komaka, the area there that has been affected. So I have to go and
Yes,
lend support to him. So definitely, I'm appreciative for this opportunity. So I got it.
definitely. We want to thank you, Mr. Figueroa, and we trust that all goes well with you guys. Please stay
Yes,
safe. That's a very dangerous situation you guys are going into. God bless you,
yes.
and please give our regards to the members of the team, and again, give the regional administration, our sincere condolences.
Much thanks, brother. Much appreciated. All right.
All right, so that was that was the gentleman there who just exited the conversation was is rather um, the MP from Region 10, uh, the the regional MP, Mr. Jermaine Figueira. And he gave us a synopsis of what's going on in Linden. Number one, we know that breaking news this morning: the tailings pond in the Kamaka mines area. The dam for that tailing pond broke away. They call it the conservancy. The dam broke away, and now that area of Linden is inundated with water. Mr. Weeks, I don't know if you could give us a run of that video for about 2 minutes again, so that as we prepare to go out of the show. But it's very, very serious. From the time that incident occurred to now, based on what I've been seeing in the videos here, the clips, houses, two-story houses have already had their bottom floor halfway up, it will appear, underwater. So that's and the water is moving very fast. It's a lot of water, 500 million liters. That is a whole lot of water being dumped on that area. And it's not clean water, it's very muddy. You know what tailings are? It's like the, the water that the waste water then to get rid of once you would have done your washing and what have you. So this is what we're going through right now. If you want to donate, you have the number of the regional chairman, 680. If you're in the diaspora, obviously you've got to put the international code before that and the country code 592. So more likely than not, 001 680 or if you're like me and you like it the short way, plus sign 592 680 0022, the regional chairman, and he is the head of the regional task force. You can give him a call and make your pledges and what have you, and he'll tell you what you need to do if you have donations, financial or in kind, to make to this cause. All right. Well, don't forget that we too have our need because our bills are to be paid. So just drop us something in the kitty and have us help us pay those bills. I have to go now, and I trust that you have a wonderful weekend. If God's willing, we'll see each other on Monday again. I'd like to Mr. Weeks to play those videos, those video clips, and take us out of the show. In the meantime, you have a God blessed weekend until I see you again on Monday. Tata, bye bye.